all these devices that are integrated, and it will now be a new reality. So
that's exactly what's happening, Alex, and that's why Google is absolutely at the center of this. It's no accident whatsoever that not only does Google dominate the internet, and the internet is fundamental to this technologically generated fake reality they're building and want to attach us to, but they've also got this Google X laboratory. They're also buying up robotic companies to create artificial
It's an AI takeover.
robots.
The word is it's already artificially intelligent. We're in a science fiction movie. It's taking over. It's already making the decisions.
This is the point, but if you see what's happened up to this point is people have been pulled out of their expanded level of awareness, their true self, into the five senses by society being totally driven and focused upon the five senses. Everything's about look at this, smell this, taste this, all of it. And the education system is about locking people into the five senses and the left side of the brain, which connects more than any other part of the brain into the five senses. And people then get locked in a tiny, tiny band of five-sense reality. But what they want to do with the transhumanist agenda is take that another massive step forward. So instead of just locking people in the five senses, so that's the only reality they perceive, so they think people like me are crazy because I'm saying it's not the only reality, they want to create a situation where they have a technologically generated collective sub-reality, like a massive global cloud, as they call it, which is connected to the human thought and perception processes and is feeding this fake reality that we think is real.
I was about to say, they're not wanting to just gauge reality. They're wanting to control reality.
To completely dictate it, yes, so that we become no more than robots. Literally, we become biological, indeed, with the transhumanist agenda, biological, technological
That's what
robots.
they're saying.
That
David,
have no ability to think outside of what we're being fed. That's where it's leading, and that's what we must address.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've had a lot of projects going, and you just said you can come back on anytime, 2 weeks, a month, whenever you're ready for another hour, hour and a half. Please come on and break down the whole transhumanist deal. You can send some of your slides and documents. We can do a whole David Icke presentation here. It's been so important I haven't even plugged anything we're doing. Folks can find out all the great stuff you're doing at davidicke.com, your latest book, speaking engagements, and more. David, always informative and thought-provoking. Love the look of your new website. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Alex. See you soon. Bye.
All right, take care. Now go ahead and talk to him before he goes, Nico, and let's line him up for the next interview while we got him. We're going to come back and hit a lot of the more five senses news straight ahead. We're going to come back out of the rabbit hole a little bit. Join us today, and then I will get into the rest of the news I haven't hit yet towards the end of this hour. I never even aired the This Week on ABC yesterday where they claimed I wouldn't show up to debate them live when they said that they weren't going to do the interview, basically, and then came to pick me up 12 minutes before it was airtime so they could claim I was a coward. Just all sorts of weaselly behavior out of government-run media. But Dr. Steve Pieczenik, of course, ran the famous Camp David Accords as the psychological expert there. He wrote the manual on psychological warfare for the State Department, helped found the Delta Force with General Boykin and others, and, of course, been a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, co-wrote a bunch of books with Tom Clancy, produced Hollywood films. And he was the guy who came on in early 2002 to say the bin Laden death was a hoax, and that he'd already, basically died, that he wasn't alive, they'd roll him out later. Then Walter Cronkite came out and said it, Madeleine Albright, Secretary of State, said it, and then they rolled him out, and it was all fake. Well, now Cy Hirsch came out 2 years ago and said it's 100% lie. I have an article coming out. Well, they came after him. He shut up for a while. He talked some to our office. Now he's saying, well, it's just fake that they didn't have a firefight, only one guy was killed. Well, that's what we were told. A double of bin Laden. And then it was a military safe house. That's why it was a half mile from the main military headquarters of the whole country. The Navy SEALs started figuring that out, so they blew up their helicopter a few months later on a shut-up mission. I've since then talked to family members of the Navy SEALs, and I've talked to some of the Navy SEALs. The videos are up on Infowars.com. Within a day of the hoax, I said it was a hoax. And then within a few months of the event, we pointed out that they basically had killed the Navy SEALs. And joining us is Dr. Pieczenik. We got 3 minutes to break. We'll come back with 10 minutes after that, sir. Appreciate your time. But what do you make of Sy Hersh now and all this coming out at this point with the bin Laden hoax?
Well, I've known about Sy Hersh. We come from the opposite sides of the ideological spectrum, but he's very well versed in intelligence, and he is very accurate. There was no raid. There basically was no stand. The stand-down was, as we said, at Cheney, Bush, Rumsfeld, and basically this was a CIA operation. It was run by the CIA and implemented by the CIA, started by Tenet, John Brennan, and what we have is a real problem of credibility in our military, in our political leadership, and in our intelligence leadership. And what this brings out is like the My Lai massacre, the cover-up is major. It goes from Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, it goes to Bush Jr., Cheney, Rumsfeld, and Obama. And basically it puts into place Admiral McRaven, who was in charge of the Special Forces, or the SEAL team, who claimed all this nonsense about how well they performed, and then puts into play Admiral Mullen, who was also a liar. I've said it from day one, they were liars. I said they were ineffectual. I said the SEAL teams were blown out of proportion. It was a publicity stunt. And now more than ever, Sy Hersh has made it very clear. Now, I and Sy Hersh have not agreed, and I've had a confrontation with him in an intelligence meeting. So for him to come out on our side to basically say the government's lying again and again, this is the key point for your listeners to understand. We have a government that is not legitimate. Obama has lied repeatedly. From the beginning till now, he has lied. Our military has lied. Our intelligence has lied. So we have candidates who are coming in like Hillary Clinton, who also lied. She was part of this. She was a senator.
Well, doctor, stay there. I'm going to come back to Dr. Steve Pieczenik after this quick break to break down what does it signify, though, that CNN's top headline would be this and that Sy Hersh is coming out with the truth now, or a limited hangout. What does that say is happening inside the power structure? Stay with us. We're live. And I said, well, I'm not doing it taped. And they didn't respond back and sent a card, 12 minutes to airtime. Just the stunts they play now to try to win points. And everybody knows I go on live shows. I'm going to tear these people apart. I want to ask Dr. Pieczenik his take on Jade Helm and all the drills the government's got them doing for civil disturbance and where he thinks it's all going, what they're gearing up for. Dr. Pieczenik's talked about the states being the answer to getting control of the federal government. Well, yeah, and they're preparing and training the military to try to take on the states. People say, well, that'll never happen. Well, with the criminals we've got running things, it certainly might. And they're really worried about Texas. So we'll get Dr. Pieczenik's take on that briefly here in a moment as well. But if you go to Infowars.com, you'll see flashback, proof bin Laden death, another government lie. Infowars report 4 years before Hersh revelations. And then we break down the day after it happened in an 8-minute video that it's a hoax. That was May 2nd, 2011. And then proof bin Laden death, another government lie. We've got interviews with Pieczenik in there. We've got interviews with the family of some of the dead SEALs, multiple families. And we've got more current breakdowns of this. But I want to explain something to people. We've broken hundreds of secret documents here and hundreds of others that are restricted. And it's very dangerous to do that in this climate. You know, if we meet with a Navy SEAL, and I talk about it on air, you better believe we did. Or if we meet with a family of a Navy SEAL who died, that's what I did a couple days after the helicopter blew up and they got rid of them, a few months after the fake killing. And the families, and what the SEALs believe, is that it was a body double they were there to take out. There wasn't a big firefight outside. The other helicopter just blew up. It was a half mile or less from the main military base of the whole country, their headquarters and their main academy. And so we never knew exactly what happened, but people on the ship said there was no burial at sea, so they court-martialed over 100 people. And it's just been one big cover-up. They lied about the Situation Room photo. Dr. Pieczenik, you've got a lot of amazing sources. I know you've been visited by the CIA and MI6 and threatened. I've been threatened. And then they had the Stratford leak that they were tasked with trying to, you know, make us look bad. I mean, I didn't ask to be at the level of this whole game. All I want's my country back. But Now I'm being attacked by up to 300 to 500 newspapers a day saying lies. I mean, on a Richter scale, previous attacks were a 2 or 3. This is a 10. What is going on? Why do you think they're targeting us? Is it getting ready to destroy me or building me up to be politically discredited with straw men? And then I want to go back into bin Laden. But I want to be a little selfish today and ask you, from your perspective and your sources, what is going on? Because they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off about this show. And quite frankly, I don't like being that prominent. I mean, this is a multi-magnitudes more effect. But I think I know my own answer, and I want your take on this. Congress is listening. The military's listening. Not that I'm special, but I have all these amazing guests on, people like you, and this show is a lot closer to reality than almost anything else out there. So this has become like the forbidden fruit channel or something, where it's just gotten really hot, and it shows the insanity of the official narrative. And so they're trying to discredit me right now with Pentagon-directed bull and CIA-directed bull. Where is this going?
Well, Alex, number one, let me assure you that nobody wants to take you out. The reason for that is very simple. They do not want to make you a martyr. That does not serve anybody's purpose. Number two, the reason you're exceedingly important, even to the intelligence community, to me, is remember, you were the only man who stood up 13 years ago when we had the 9/11 and said, and allowed me to say this was a false flag and a stand down.
It was 14, Steve, 14.
14 years ago. So you have to remember, a prophet in his own country is never appreciated. You will never be appreciated in this country because you tell the truth. And no one in the Republic who runs the Republic can tolerate it. However, you have amassed a huge audience in the millions, which to many in the senior leadership is very threatening. And the reason is very simple. In the beginning, they could co-opt you as crazy or me as crazy and call us a very simple term, conspiracy. However, fortunately, your audience and the American audience is too smart, far too smart, to buy any of the narratives that were sold by Clinton, the Bushes, or by the CIA or the military. And eventually what happened in the age of the Internet, you were able to take that narrative without deviating an ounce, without backing off, but having sponsors and having someone like me say, keep going, Alex, you're brave, don't worry about it. They will not attack you. I've
been attacked with propaganda and other things by different camps. I know it's not one monolithic system. It's just to be 41 years old and to have no exaggeration, one day last week, 500 news articles and lying about me. What nerve have we hit? Is it they think we're weak, so they're going in? Or they think we're strong? Because, I mean, I can handle a lot of pressure, Doc, but this is starting to get like the Twilight Zone.
Well, the point is, that is a sense of recognition and admiration. Remember, you're being lauded by the fact that they feel you're a threat to them by continuously cutting into their vulnerable point. It's a badge of honor, and the audience understands that people all over the world listen to you, and this republic can no longer stand the way it is. It's falling apart.
Well, I just want the establishment to understand this, and I say this selfishly for myself and my own family. People get this stuff now. I'm not the only one talking about this. There's thousands of other prominent people that get the paradigm now. So doing something to me is not going to do anything. All I'm, except turn me into a martyr. But the thing is, I don't hate the government. I don't even hate these special interests. These people are almost blind, Dr. Pachinik, in my view, in that they don't look at what their actions are going to do 10, 15 steps down the road. They're destroying the empire itself. They're destroying the country. They are going after the press. They're going after our industry. They're just doing crazy stuff, and I just don't see it. I don't see this elite being able to continue on. That's all I'm saying. And all I want is prosperity and stability, Doctor.
Let me pull back a little bit and explain something to you. We are not a monolithic entity. I've said that before. But your ability to penetrate through and hit at the nerve spot allows different elements of the government, I won't identify which intelligence communities or which elements, to allow them to push back. I'll give you an example. Why was this story by Seymour Hersh released now, more than ever? Nobody's asking that question except you. And the answer is, my suspicion is, it's only my suspicion, I'm not going to conspiracy, is that it's elements within our own government who have very close relationships with Seymour Hersh and know him exceedingly well because Seymour has been in meetings with